All right. What do you call a traveling priest? A Roman Catholic. Okay, so I was in Rome last week, and also a suburb of Rome called Castel Gandolfo, or maybe that's the name of the hotel. A small town, well, smallish town outside of Rome. Anyway, I was in Italy last week and took a lot of pictures. Thought I would go ahead and make a video like I did with Providence. Um, so this way, you don't have to sit through a slideshow stereotypically. You can pause or not watch it at all if you don't want to. So, also, since this is since this is Rome, um, I it could since this is Rome and I am a staunchly 1689 Reformed Baptist. I could say some pretty obnoxious things about Roman Catholicism, but I don't know who I'm going to send this to exactly, so I don't want to be a jerk. So I'm not going to do that. There is one picture that is, and you'll see when I get to it, that I have to be a little bit obnoxious just to explain what it is, but it doesn't really have that much to do with Roman Catholicism. But you'll see when we get there. But the bottom line is, I have no intention of being obnoxious or anything, so I'm not going to go into any kind of discussion of. Well, I mean, I'll go discussion of theology, just not in a contentious way. So this isn't actually part of the presentation. This would just be taking a picture of my car to remember where I parked. And this is a picture over the Atlantic Ocean. Bunch of clouds. Couldn't actually see the ocean except maybe far off in the distance here. This, I think, was a picture taken by accident. This is in Italy, but I don't know why I took this picture. I think one problem that I had all week was my phone, the specific program that I use. Whenever you try to take a picture, it waits like a couple of minutes, not a minutes. Sometimes it can feel like minutes. It'll spend a couple of seconds trying to focus before it'll actually take the picture, and a lot of times that means I don't get the picture. I get a picture of something else because it was taking too long. Or a lot of these pictures. So this is the first picture. A lot of these pictures, I don't have anything specifically to say about them. So I'll just be quiet and we can uh, just take a look at it, I guess. Streets of Rome. Oh, also, the reason why I was in Rome was oh, you can see. Is that the Vatican? That's not the Vatican. No, that's not the Vatican. But this wall right here is the walls of Vatican City. The reason why I was in Rome, I took a lot of pictures of just buildings, stuff that some people might think is mundane and boring, but it was just to me as a suburbanite in Oklahoma, this is kind of unusual and neat for me. That's why when I was in Providence, I took a lot of pictures of just buildings because I know it was mundane to the people there, but it was kind of neat for me. Even when I went into Oklahoma City, I took pictures of buildings because I thought they were neat. And, I could go to Oklahoma City every day if I wanted to. I just don't want to. Uh, so the reason why I was in picture of my palm. The reason why I took when I went to Rome or Italy was actually because of a wedding. I think that's St. Peter's Basilica. I'm not 100% sure. I was there for a wedding. I have pictures of the wedding, but I'm not going to show those pictures. I'm just going to forward those to the uh, the people involved with the wedding. So a wall surrounded most of Vatican City, but not all of Vatican City. There was a part where you could freely walk in and out, and I'll get to that later. This is the first restaurant I went into, and neat, ornate restaurant. You could tell it was made for tourists. Most everything in Rome is made for tourists more so than locals. Rome is a tourist city. So this was my first meal in Rome. Pizza. Uh, Whenever I got to Rome, I I tried to sleep on the plane, and I failed miserably sleeping on the plane. So uh, I couldn't get into my hotel room yet because it wasn't ready. So I was just I wanted to take a nap very badly before going to the Vatican. I had an appointment at 3:30 that day. So I just went to the first restaurant I could find and thought I'm going to order something as simple as I could. So this is sausage and mushroom pizza. And this, it looks like a pretty normal pizza, but it tasted completely unlike any pizza I've ever had. So one thing I was, I don't say concerned about, but I wondered if going to Italy would kind of change the way that I view Italian food in America. And the answer is it didn't affect it much at all. My favorite restaurant is probably still Johnny Carino's. Uh, Excuse me a second. And this pizza did not ruin my taste for pizza because it was so different. You can't, like, there's a pizza chain in Oklahoma called Hideaway that I like. It's very popular. This didn't make me like Hideaway less because it was so different. You can't even compare the two. And this was the line at, see at the very end here. This is that wall that you saw before of Vatican Museum. So without thinking, I left my house at like something like 7 a.m. on Monday, and went to Atlanta. Then went to, and then from Atlanta went to Italy. And that long flight, I ended up being in Rome at 8 a.m. on Tuesday. Now that means it was actually less than 12. That doesn't sound quite right. But anyway, it was, you're going with the rotation. Sorry, against the rotation of the Earth, so the days are shortened there. And I tried to sleep on the plane, and I didn't get a wink of sleep. So what that meant was that whenever I was here for this appointment, that not appointment, this tour that I scheduled like a couple weeks ago, I was on like 36 hours of no sleep, something like that. I mean, I didn't do the actual math, but I'm going to guess about 36 hours of no sleep. And so I didn't take any more pictures of the crowd, I guess, but um, the first part of the museum was actually had nothing to do with the papacy. It was all stuff from ancient Egypt. Actually, it was neat stuff. I just not stuff that I was expected. I I hated this tour with every fiber of my being. So the first day was pretty miserable because it was so insanely crowded. Like there was some neat stuff in here, but it was just unbelievably crowded and just absolutely miserable. Just miserable. Because I couldn't stand how crowded it was, and it didn't help that I was on so sleep deprived, and it was long. It was long. It was so long. But like this is a really cool picture. I mean, there's some neat things there. I actually never walked in that area. That must have missed it. Because so I'm looking at this out a window, and I guess I just somehow. Oh, that must be the garden tour because I did the museum tour. Oh, you can see Constantine over there. I didn't notice that when I first took this picture. Um, I couldn't stand how stressful it was just because of how crowded it was and how long it was. So I think I must have noticed the Constantine there. I just wasn't paying much. I just don't remember because I was so sleep deprived. And at one point, I found an American. Not found. I there was an American couple that was nearby me, and I overheard them talking. And the wife said something to the effect of, "So now we're way well past Egyptian and into Greek, maybe Roman. I'm not sure. As far as I can tell, it's probably Greek." Um, if I remember my humanities class right, this would not be the Hellenic period. This would be the Hellenistic period. Because the Hellenic period, I don't know why I remember this, but the Hellenic period didn't look very realistic. Hellenistic period afterwards did look very realistic. So this couple that was next to me, I ever heard the wife say, um, "Man, when you said it was crowded, I didn't realize it was going to be this crowded." Something to that effect. And very ornate ceilings and stuff. And then I said, not to eavesdrop, but this has been about the most stressful tour I've ever been on. And they more or less agreed, and we had a brief conversation after that. So you can see how very ornate all this is. Some of this is the statues were sometimes gifts to the Vatican, and I'm those statues were Greek style, but I'm pretty sure those were not actually Greek statues. They were just made in the Greek style. Sometimes it's kind of hard to tell which parts were reconstructions and which parts were actually ancient statues and stuff. There's not a plain wall or surface anywhere in the Vatican. And you see how crowded this is, and it just went on and on and on. And after a while, you just kind of get used to it, and you just sort of think, "See, that's the plainest structure, the plainest surface I've seen." You just get used to it. You think, "Okay, there's another one." It's just felt like the same thing over and over again, and it got kind of. I didn't realize this guy was looking at me. It just kind of got old. When I when I was in Miami, there was a. I didn't make a video of this. When I was in Miami, there was a neat looking restaurant, and I just something about it just looked neat. So when I was inside, I just took a picture of it. It wasn't until later that I realized that there was a guy in the middle of the picture that apparently thought I was taking a picture of him. So he's just in the middle of a picture. There's this guy sort of looking at the camera. It was kind of funny. This was a reconstruction. I remember that. I mean, it's made of wood, so of course it is. I remember whenever I saw this pot, I thought, "Oh, I've seen that pot before. That's a famous pot. Remember seeing that in my humanities books." Then I went to the next room, and there were like literally a couple hundred of these. So it was not unique. There's lots of pots like this. This picture looks like it's AI generated. It's not, unless someone slipped it in there. I bet I just focused. I bet I zoomed in too far, and it had to. Sometimes with your phone camera, if you zoom in too far, it doesn't look right. So this picture would have still been from within the Vatican. Another ornate ceiling. Another jar. You can see more down here. I don't know what that's depicting. You can see what I assume was a pope over here and over here. See, I took a picture of this one specifically because I thought instead of the floor is lava, it's the floor is priceless artwork, so you can't walk on it. So it doesn't fulfill its function of being a floor. Statue of a foot. Kind of blurry, but it's one of a very long hallway. This is a little less blurry. A very long hallway. Meanwhile, I just want to go to sleep because I was so tired. So these were actually carved into the ceiling in these places. Another extremely long hallway. That's the same long hallway. Sometimes I would take multiple pictures because I ended up not getting a good one. Like this one. I think I only took two of those. I thought there were several. Statue, I don't know who that's of. Maybe Saint Louise. Yeah, I made that up. I don't know who that is. Oh yeah, I remember seeing this, and just sort of in my head, I thought, hey, it's uh, Larry, Moe, and Curly, but it's these actually turned out to be the same person. I didn't realize that when I first took this picture. I don't know why there were three sculptures of the same person. If I could read that, maybe there was a reason given. I don't remember. This, I don't remember what this is called, but I've seen various forms of this specific depiction of Mary holding the broken body of Jesus, and I don't know who this is. I've never seen any version that I've seen doesn't have that. See, this is really neat. I like those old buildings. But at this point, you might be understanding what I mean about how it's just kind of more of the same. You know, it's the same stuff over and over again. The Holy Pontiff's parking lot, I assume. I don't know what this would have been during the days of St. Gregory. St. Gregory? Pope Gregory. I don't know if that's the same person. I think there are multiple Pope Gregories, actually. Okay, so this is a story. So I want to bring up the actual, um, a better picture of what this is. Because I've always liked this painting. It's a great, hopefully that this is a better quality picture than that. Yes, it is. So this picture was actually okay. Well, that actually kind of gives away the what I was thinking. Um, oh, crap. Okay, so this picture is the School of Athens. This is one of my favorite paintings for a very long time, really. This was my desktop background for a long time, and I didn't even know that this was from the Vatican. I just knew it was a neat painting. So this is Plato here, and this is Aristotle right here. So if you know much about um, how Plato and Aristotle's philosophies differ, Plato is pointing up because he's trying to look up towards the forms and saying we use those to discern reality. Whereas Aristotle, his student, said, no, we look to what we see and construct reality out of those. That's a terrible description. And a lot of these other people represent other famous figures in Greek Greek literature. Like I think this might be Euclid or maybe he's drawing circles, so it could be Archimedes. You know, he was famous for saying, "Don't disturb my circles." And of course, maybe that guy's Diogenes. I don't know. Of course, he looks like he's taken a shower within the past 7 years, so he's probably not Diogenes. But anyway, the main reason. Oh, and who is this? This is somewhat significant, but I can't think of who it is. Maybe this is Euclid. So maybe this guy. I just assume that's Archimedes because he's got the compass here, and that guy looks kind of out of place. Maybe he's Galileo. Anyway, and these are like almost that's the Mona Lisa. I didn't know that was there. Well, I mean that's probably not the Mona Lisa. It looks like the Mona Lisa. Anyway, so in this one of my all-time favorite paintings, like it was my desktop background for like years. I always thought, what the heck is this? This weird blank space down here. Like what is that for? I just saw that and thought, what the heck is that? So this is not the picture I took. This is like a professional picture of it. So then I know it's the door. It's the door that you walk in to get into the room. Uh, so that's why there's that blank space there. So I just walked in and turned on and whoa, there's my one of my all-time favorite paintings right there. And I didn't even know it was in the Vatican. And this is the painting on the other side, the other wall. This is apparently less famous. I don't know what this one's called or anything. I took a second picture of School of Athens apparently. And I think this was the ceiling of that room. This guy just looked weird. So I took a picture. More ceilings. One thing that's kind of funny about this is I've got a feature on my phone where if you shake it, it plays or pauses whatever I was last listening to. And as I was leaving the Vatican, I call this guy trying to take his shirt off because I literally don't know what else it could be. Um, and That's a ceiling. I remember that. Oh, this is the Sistine Chapel. Um, so you're not actually supposed to take pictures of the Sistine Chapel, but I didn't know that when I first walked in. I took two pictures, so that's the ceiling. You can see the creation of Adam right here. But that's not. I always kind of assumed that that was like the main feature of the Sistine Chapel, so I just assumed that like the entire ceiling was just this one painting. But no, that's just one painting of many, and you can tell it's upside down here. I don't know if this. Oh, it does. So yeah, you can see that. See the creation of Adam, and there's a bunch of other stuff too. So I took this picture and picture of this I remember this crucifix being bigger than apparently was. For some reason, I thought it was bigger than that. Um, so I took these two pictures, and then the a guy, an employee, looked at me, pointed at my phone, and said, "No photo, no video." All right, so I put it away, and then he pointed at my hat and said, "No hats." Or head off, or something like that. I was all right, and I didn't really realize why at first because uh, there was also I didn't take pictures of this because I was too late. But in the center of the room, there were a bunch of pews, and there were people sitting in those pews. They may have been waiting to take mass, or maybe they were just praying. Um, but I didn't realize that this is the chapel. This is a chapel, so they think of this as a holy site. So that's why they didn't want pictures. It's or wear a hat. That's kind of like that was actually a rule when I was a kid. You don't wear hats in the sanctuary. I don't think anybody follows that anymore. Um, but anyway, um, but by the time I got to this room, I had it up to here. I was so exhausted, and I was so sick of the crowd. I just wanted to get out, go to the hotel room, and go to sleep. And this so that I tried to kind of quickly make my way to the back so that I can go through it through the room, and then there was like a line to get out of the room, but for some reason the line wasn't moving. There was an employee that was standing at the door and stopping people from moving, and we were standing there for so long that I just was so aggravated, so that I just kind of thought to myself, "Well, screw you! If you're gonna hold me hostage, I'm gonna take a picture anyway." So I took another picture of the ceiling. So actually, this is not a bad picture, but this was the spite picture. So this was the obnoxious thing that I was talking about. Like so, um, I yeah, I guess I won't go into. Oh, I think I've seen this one before. Adam and Eve in the garden. I'm pretty sure I have. Anyway, um, I got interrupted when I was telling that story. So I've got this feature on my phone where if you if I shake my phone, it'll play and pause. Whatever I was last listening to. And as I was walking down some stairs, I guess I jostled my phone enough that I started to play the last thing I was listening to. And all of a sudden, I hear James White's voice. So I thought, Uh, so then quickly shook my phone to get it to stop. But thankfully, he wasn't talking about Roman Catholicism. He was talking about Mormonism. So I didn't get beat up. This must have been when I got out. Yeah, so I went here for a quick dinner, um, and here for a quick dessert. Before that, I asked where the nearest Olive Garden is and got punched in the face. I'm kidding. I didn't really do that. One thing about Rome is that there's pizza stands. So this one was not a pizza stand. It's just they got crepes. This is the inside of that. Man, I wish I'd gotten something else to drink. I'm pretty thirsty right now. Very, very small restaurant. This was the something and mushroom ham and mushroom crepe that I had. I just wanted something small. And here's the gelato. I don't really. There was three flavors. I don't remember what they were. It was pretty good though. So here's something a little bit different. Um, Despite how tired I was, I decided I'm gonna take a slightly different route back to my hotel room just to see something different. So despite being very, very tired, I saw this, and this place was pretty interesting. This is the northeast corner, or maybe it was the southeast corner. I think it was the northeast corner though, of the Vatican City. It's the one area of the Vatican City that's not walled off. You can come and go freely from within Rome. And you can see there's a lot of people here, but it's not hyper crowded. So I didn't mind this at all. This was the first thing in the trip that I enjoyed. Up until this point, I was basically miserable and kind of hated it. I hated the entire first day until I got to this. This was really neat. I took a lot of pictures of just this general area. This is St. Peter's Basilica, at least I think. Um, and there's an area right here behind the fountain where a bunch of people would gather to hear the Pope talk. So I guess like this building is in Rome, and then these like I don't know demarcations are in what mark Vatican City, I guess. Some kind of obelisk. Just really neat stuff. The architecture, the statues, and what this meant. Oh yeah. Um, so on Tuesday, that's the day that this was. St. Peter's Basilica win. So despite being extreme, so for some reason there was some kind of event, and the tours of St. Peter's Basilica ended early that day. So there was some kind of a event, and I'm sorry. Despite being extremely exhausted, this was really neat enough that I still kind of hung around. This was neat. This was enjoyable. I just thought that was a neat picture. I don't have much more to say about this. Uh, so I don't know if these guys are like the Swedish Guard or what, because I don't know what the Swedish Guard actually looks like. I've only heard about them. But I actually only took pictures of them because they look so funky in these weird suits, which I kind of feel guilty about doing. What I didn't know at the time is that this area right here is where you go to tour St. Peter's Basilica, and but since it had closed early that day, there was hardly anybody here. They were just there for the same reason I was, just to kind of look around here. They weren't touring St. Peter's Basilica. Also, I found out, and I didn't know this until yesterday when I got home, um, that this week was the beginning of the Synod of Synodality, which I thought was months ago. So I don't know how much, if any, that contributed to the traffic in Rome at that time, to how crowded it was. I know the Synod of Synodality is a big deal, and that there's lots of like millions of people paying attention to it around the globe, but I am not one of those people because I'm not Catholic. But I've known it's coming. So I don't know how much that affected my stay. We're outside of Vatican City now. We're back into Rome. Just taking the pictures of stuff that I think look neat, and things that I think look neat may not match with things that you think look neat. Tunnel. This is kind of neat. So there are statues, not statues. There are fountains in Rome that are always flowing. They're and they're it's drinkable water. It's kind of like this like water fountains here. Like people use them to either get their hands wet and kind of wash them, or to refill their water bottles. You know, like we've got like those very modern water bottles refills, but they've got these, and there's this is one of the more ornate ones. Uh, and I like and they but they're always running. You don't turn them off and on. These are running 24/7. And I'm gonna need. I don't didn't want to have to edit this video, but I need to get up, and I'm gonna have to move my cat to do that. But I am thirsty. I'm gonna get some mineral water. Sorry, Dex, I gotta get up. So I guess I'll have to edit the video. But that's a possibly new habit that I'm picked up from Italy, and that's sparkling mineral water. Uh, but I've also been drinking carbonated water for a long time. I just thought I'd pick up some mineral water. I don't know. See what I think of that. So there's pizza shops and gelato shops everywhere in Rome. Oh, here's the Tiber River. Um, I thought about coming. I thought about going to church and telling everybody there that I crossed the Tiber. And I said, no, no, literally, I crossed the Tiber. Vatican City is across the Tiber from anything else interesting in Rome. So I had to, and my hotel was on the west side of the Tiber, so I had to cross the Tiber to go to almost anything interesting unless I wanted to spend all my time in Vatican City. I meant to go down here and walk around, but I never did. But I decided I'm not going to tell my passion. If, for those of you that don't know, crossing the Tiber is a uh, figure of speech, meaning you've converted to Roman Catholicism. So uh, I decided I don't want to tell people at my church that because I don't really even want to joke about that. I mean, and that's not and it, to mean insulting to Catholics. Catholics wouldn't want to joke about converting to Protestantism either. It's something too serious to joke about. So Tonorello, we'll see more of this maybe right now. Yep. So this is pesto pasta. This was very good. One thing about Italian restaurants is that they give you multiple courses. So there's a lot of eating outside. So this was my view of that would be lunch that day. I woke up pretty late that day. I slept for like 16 hours after Vatican. So this somewhere along the lines of probably this. This is probably the beginning of Wednesday. And so this is lunch. This was my view while eating lunch. This was the main course. You can't see the meat as much here, but it was roast lamb, and these slices are potatoes. I wish I got a picture with more meat. It was very good. And whenever you're ordering water, this threw me off at first at Italian restaurants. They'll ask still or sparkling, and when they had said still, I was very confused by that because I thought, well, is it alcoholic? I don't need water coming from a still. Or I guess distilled water is not alcoholic. You shouldn't drink it though. Well, I guess that won't kill you. But anyway, uh, that just kind of threw me off. But they meant still as opposed to sparkling. And I do drink sparkling water though. Almost corner books off. I thought about if I came across a copy of The Glories of Mary. I thought I might pick that up, but I never did. They had a at the end of the museum. I didn't get any pictures of it, but the Vatican Museum tour, they did have some gift shops, and they had some books in the gift shops, but they didn't. If they sold, I didn't look very carefully. If they sold it, I didn't see it. Uh, I don't know what this is a picture of. Just something neat. A lot of these are just things that are neat. So on this second day, what I did was I had a PDF that was a self-guided walking tour through Rome, and I did something similar of a self when I was in Providence. I did a self-guided walking tour. I like those because I don't have to deal with other people, um, telling me when to go. So that means I saw a lot of the. Oh, there's a cat. Whenever there's a cat, I have to take a picture of it. Uh, there were several. There were a few cats in the Roman ruins. So we'll see more of these ruins later. Um, but I just saw them as I was passing by. So basically, this self-guided walking tour was just it tells you where to go to look for it, and these are mostly free. There's another cat. Neat church. So this is still Wednesday. Oh, this building right here. I think it's this building. I'm pretty sure it was this building that was used by Mussolini during World War II. I don't remember if the tour said it was used by his campaign when he was campaigning or by him when he was leading. I don't remember. So this was something that was kind of annoying. Um, this is like a classic Roman fountain, I guess, but it was being repaired while I was there, so that kind of denigrated the experience. So the reason why it looks weird is I'm taking a picture of it through clear plastic, and there's some kind of obelisk. Another neat building. Oh yeah, this is a piazza or like a town, like a square. So that's why it's a big open space. And somewhere around here, I didn't get a picture of him, but I saw a Charlie Chaplin impersonator. And that wasn't the only time I saw I saw a T-shirt with Charlie Chaplin. It makes me wonder if maybe Charlie Chaplin's Italian and they have some kind of attachment to him or something. I don't know. He did do technically it was an impersonation of Hitler, not Mussolini, but it was kind of generic. So I guess it could be taken as either one. And this is another fountain that's like being repaired. They were painting it. Oh, here's another church. I don't know if there's anything special about this church. This wasn't on the self-guided walking tour. I just thought it was neat. Also under construction. And I saw that there were people. Big organ. That it's such a shame that churches don't have big organs like this. And I say this as a Protestant. I love organ music. Listen to Bach. Bach's got some amazing organ music. Listen to Toccata and Fugue, Passacaglia and Fugue. Um, what was that? The Little Fugue. Anything that has the word fugue in it is fantastic. It's really a shame that we don't have organs as common anymore. And you couldn't really see it because of the construction, but I did check to see, like around here, you could tell that it did have, at least I was pretty sure it had the cross shape. A lot of the old medieval churches were built, like their architecture was in the shape of a cross. I'm not sure why I know that. Maybe that humanities class again. So I completely forgot to tell this story, so I'm adding it in post. Probably the best thing, at least to me, at least in my mind, that happened on Wednesday was there was an old man that dropped his cane, and I could kind of tell that he was gonna have a hard time picking it up. So I uh, just bent over and picked it up for him, and he had a big smile on his face and said "Grazie." I just thought something about that was really cool. I thought, ah, so that is the beginning that you can see in the distance the Pantheon. So I feel kind of dumb because I thought the Pantheon was in Athens, but no, it's in Rome. I didn't go inside of it because there was a long line to get inside of it. I did see a picture of the inside of it. In the Pantheon, or outside the Pantheon, actually, I encountered a guy that was just out of nowhere, very friendly, had a Kenyan accent, or at least he said he was from Kenya, and he started talking to me and put something in my hand, put a bracelet on my hand, and I kind of knew what was going on at that point because I had heard about this. I had heard about people that come up to you and put stuff in your hand and then ask you for money. And I'm of two minds about panhandling because I understand the arguments against panhandling. I understand. I've heard people say that they'll just use it for drugs. I don't think that's a good argument. That's not my business what they do with it. But then I've also heard people say that people that are able-bodied are panhandling because they don't want to work. Okay, well, I understand that. But on the other hand, Christ specifically said, "Give to the one who would beg from you." He explicitly said that. So when this guy came up to me and started doing this, I could see where it was going. And he showed me pictures of his kids. And then he said, "And I was wondering if you could help me out by giving me some money to help take care of my kids." So, okay, I thought, well, Christ specifically said, "Give to those who would beg of you." So I pulled out my wallet and started giving him I think it was a five. I'm not completely sure. And he had me flip through my wallet, and he wanted to decide what bills that I should be giving him. So I gave him a 10, and he said, "No, no, no." And then he took that and said, "No, no, no. What about that one? What about that one?" And I said, "I can't give you much more than that." I said, "I can't spare much more than that." And at this point, a couple of Italians, locals, kind of sidled up to the side of the conversation, and then suddenly this guy that was doing this, that was very aggressively telling me what money, how much money to give him. He apparently very suddenly got nervous and walked away. And he talked to those two guys. I couldn't understand a word that this guy was saying for the most part. There's very few things that he said that I could understand. There was a big communication barrier that made this even more awkward than it already was. And then he looked at those two new guys that had come up, and he pointed at me and said, "That's a good guy right there." And so then those two guys were undercover cops, and that guy, the Kenyan guy, probably knew that. That's why he became so nervous all of a sudden. Uh, this is actually a small shopping mall. Like, these columns are not ancient or holy or anything. So then those two guys were uh, showed me that one of them showed me his badge, and there was a communication barrier there too. They could speak English, but I think they were frustrated with me, and I understand it's frustrating to not be able to communicate. Oh, this is where was it? Was this where I saw the guy? It doesn't matter. It's either outside the Pantheon. The Parthenon is in Athens. It was either outside the Pantheon or next to this big fountain. I saw this guy. So anyway, so then the cop, I think it was the Pantheon. So the cop says to me, shows me his badge and says, "My hand in my wallet, your hand in your wallet, my hand not in your wallet." So he was trying to tell me, don't let someone put their hands in my wallet. At least that's what I think was going on. Um, and it was a difficult conversation to have just because of the language. You know, I don't think for an instant that this is an ancient Roman ruin. There's no way that this could be standing for 2,000 years. Uh, that didn't really occur to me at the time. Um, but then he said, seeming very frustrated, said, "Have a nice evening," and that was that. That was the end of the conversation. I'm gonna pick up OBS and make sure I'm still okay. I'm still the mic's still recording. It's still recording. Yeah. There's another pizza shop. I don't remember the name of this fountain, but it was significant. It was neat. Cannoli. I was very excited to try cannolis. Oh, that's a bad picture. There's a good picture of a cannoli. So, I mean, I absolutely love cannolis. This cannoli was not great. I have to be honest. It wasn't terrible by any means. I mean, it was still good. The shell was kind of chewy, which I prefer crunchy shells. But there are more cannolis yet to come. I don't know why I took a picture of this. That might have been by accident. Oh, there's another one of the fountains. This was one of the less ornate ones, but functional nonetheless. I wish I could say these are all over Rome, but they're definitely not. I spent a lot of my trip very, very thirsty and did a lot of walking because I didn't want to ride the bus. My right pinky toe is about four-fifths blister at this point. So going back to that guy, the Kenyan guy. This is an aqueduct ruin, but you couldn't really tell through the fence. Like you can kind of see there. I remember that big statue. That's Mary on top. This is like some kind of monument to the Immaculate Conception. So that might actually be Mary's mother. I'm not sure. Saint Anne. I think that's Mary's mother. So after I had that experience with the guy, the Kenyan guy, I kind of realized one, I don't think that guy needed the money. I mean, he was traveling to Rome from Kenya, and two, you know, I will give the panhandlers. I know that's controversial, but that is something I will do. That guy wasn't really panhandling. It was like more of a game to him. If you were panhandling, he would have been grateful for the amount that I had already given him. And later on, I saw an old woman outside the Coliseum who was legitimately panhandling, and I gave her some money. I don't feel bad about that at all. But so this guy was. I don't know if I could say it was a con per se because it wasn't really. He didn't really trick me or anything. He just tried to benefit off of my generosity. Now, what I found out later. Oh, I just took a picture of this just because it was neat to see all these buildings in the distance. What I found out later is that there are a lot of people doing exactly that. And they've got a script that they run through, almost like a cult. Like whenever a cult will approach you, they've got like a script that they've memorized that the leaders have made and they've memorized. They try to get you into it. Um, so I guess they come by in groups and somehow there's got like someone teaching them how to do it or something. But they will say the first thing they'll say to you is, "Hey, nice shoes." I heard that over and over. Nice shoes. This is the Spanish Steps, and this is I wouldn't know what the Spanish Steps are if it were for everybody that loves Raymond. To tell you the truth, it was at the top of the Spanish Steps that I met a couple more of those guys that say, "Hey, nice shoes." And whenever someone says another thing that they'll sometimes say, the most common one was nice shoes, but sometimes they'll say, "Hey, are you from Texas?" And they could probably tell that I was an American just by looking at me, just because like I was wearing a ball cap. Um, I looked very touristy. There's really no doubt about it. Um, and I just said no, thank you, and would walk away. And they act indignant, and they will follow you and act like you're doing something wrong to them. My thinking is, if I don't want to talk to you, I don't care what the reason is. I don't care who you are. I don't care if it was, you know, the president of the United States or the president of the Russian Union or whatever. If I don't want to talk to you, I don't have to talk to you. So don't act indignant that I'm not that I say no thank you and walk away. You're crossing the line at that point anyway. And the next day there was one guy that actually grabbed me. He well, not he grabbed my shirt and got a little bit of skin on the way, and that's when I actually got. This is the top. No, I think it's just halfway of the Spanish Steps. I thought this was neat seeing that. I was kind of surprised that the Spanish Steps were in the middle of the city, but I guess I should have known that. Actually, I think if I had paid attention and everybody loves Raymond, I would have noticed that. I thought of that scene in Hiss when he said step, 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 walk, walk, walk. I thought that was really funny. Um, but one guy, when that guy grabbed me, oh, this is the top of the Spanish Steps. You can see off in the distance. It was kind of rainy the week that I was there. I actually liked that for the most part. I felt like it added some character to the week. I know that might sound weird, but also made it not too hot and not too bright. So these pictures came out really well. But when that guy grabbed me and got some skin, that's when I finally lost my temper and I just turned around to him and shouted out, "Leave me alone." I shouldn't have done that, but not for his sake, just for my own sake. So not quite. So past the top of the Spanish Steps and into the building behind it, um, there was a tree in the way. Neat view of the city from here. I don't know if that's St. Peter's Basilica. These domes are all over the city. So you can see there's a dome, there's a dome, there's a dome. That's a neat picture, just of a street. I just thought that was funny. Oops, I didn't mean to go back. So this is still Wednesday, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I know it's Wednesday because we haven't gotten to the Coliseum yet. Long tunnel, bad picture of it. That's just a novelty to me, you know. We don't have long tunnels like that in Oklahoma, not that I know of at least. Big building, don't even know what it is. I don't know what this building is, but it was neat. There's another one of these chariot things on top on the other side, but you can't see it from here. There's the Coliseum. So at the end of Wednesday, I made my way to the Coliseum, and I wanted to go inside of it, but they told me it was already closed for the day. It was like an hour and a half walk back to my hotel room, and I didn't realize it at the time. But if they had let me in, it would have been a nightmare because it would have taken too long. By the time I got to my hotel room, it was already dark. Because you can kind of tell it's getting towards the end of the day. Because it was like it was kind of dark, I guess, not that dark. But I did get some pictures of the outside of it on Wednesday. Is this still the same day? Yeah, I think so. So then this is the last picture I took. Yes, because I remember where this is. This was like the north side of it, which is actually I think the exit. And so then this is the first picture I took whenever I was walking back to my hotel room, but my battery was dying, so I finally stopped taking pictures. Um, just just because I wanted to save battery power so that I could still use Google Maps to guide my way back to the hotel room. I thought this was weird. They put up these posters inside the Coliseum. Like, what marketing genius thought of this? This is actual Roman ruins, and you put inside of it fake stuff. You, actual Roman ruins, Walmart off brands. What do they call it? Great value brands. It's like, why would you do this? That is such a weird thing to do that they did this. This is one of the most identifiable objects in the world, and you made it worse. Why would you do this? That's so weird to me. I did take a few more pictures on the way back, but not a lot. Oh, and there's you can see the two chariots. You can also see how crazy crowded Rome is, and why I didn't like it. But by Wednesday, I would say like Tuesday, up until the square at the end, hated it with every fiber of my being. I hated being there. From this point, I'd say it's more mixed. Also, I took a picture of this because I thought it was kind of funny. I have no idea if that's like a character or what. But this time, I'd say it was more mixed. It was so. This is one of the many pizza parlors. I there were things that I enjoyed it, but I think the amount of crowds really did bother me. So this, I actually ate this pizza on the way back. The only reason I got pizza from this point onward was because it was easy, and I was so tired. I didn't have the energy to go to a sit down restaurant. This was more like tasted more like the pizza that that we know in America. This one wasn't anything special. It was just on this, one of the random shops on the side of the street. Probably more for tourists than it is for locals. It was good. I don't remember what these toppings were. Margarita? This looks like margarita to me. Yeah, this is margarita. That's actually a half serving. I was very surprised at the size because I asked for one serving, then they showed me the size. Oh, can you just give me half of that? They said, oh, all right. Uh, where did I have that? Oh yeah. So this is the first picture of Thursday. So Thursday, my plan was I'm going to go to St. Peter's Basilica because that's not part of the museum tour that I had before, and then I'm going to go to the Colosseum and tour the Colosseum. So I want to tour St. Peter's Basilica and tour the Colosseum. And this was my first stop, breakfast. And I went to a place that specialized in American breakfast because Italian breakfast I'm not terribly fond of. Because Italian breakfast is not very like they'll have like a croissant and or some kind of pastry and that's it. It's like no, I need protein. I know the story uh, of how we were somehow tricked into having eggs and bacon for breakfast, but I don't care. Eggs and bacon is a great breakfast. So I uh, went to a restaurant that specialized in American breakfast, and I made a point to get a light breakfast because I was planning on having a decent sized lunch, and so I had this bacon, egg, and baby cheese. I think there's cheese in there somewhere. Bagel. This was surprisingly good because I think it was homemade bagels. Most bagels they'll be like store bought. They'll toast them, but they'll still be store bought even in restaurants. Uh, some pictures of pastries. I don't remember taking this picture. On the way to St. Peter's Basilica. So this is the same square as the previous day. Well, I thought that was it. Yeah, that's definitely what happened. There's a picture that seems to be missing. This is the bridge that goes over the Tiber River. Well, maybe I'll see it. Oh, I think I went back to take that picture. Well, we'll get back to it when we get back to it. Well, I'm getting pretty close to the Colosseum at this point. So these are some ancient Roman ruins. Well, maybe that picture is not there. There's a specific picture I know because I sent it to my mom, and it showed the crowd. Oh, this is that picture. I was just thinking I was viewing the other direction. So look at this line. So this was where the weird Swedish guard people were, and this is why I didn't go into St. Peter's Basilica because I thought if I wait in a line like that and it's going to be that crowded inside, I'm going to hate it, and I'm going to hate this trip if I do stuff like that, and I don't want to do that. It's not worth getting pictures. It's not worth getting pictures, but that's not actually why I go on vacation to get pictures. It's not worth seeing it if I'm going to hate being in there. This looks like India to me. I don't want to do that. So that's why I did not go into St. Peter's Basilica because I did not want to deal with that because I didn't want to hate this trip. I wanted to enjoy this trip, and I know I made the right decision there. In fact, there was something else I was going to say about that, but I can't remember what it was. So these are some ancient Roman ruins. We will be returning to these, but there's parts of Rome where you just walk by and you just see them, and that's pretty cool. You see these Roman ruins. See this guy? He's just casually riding his bike. These people are just casually walking past ancient Roman ruins. That's awesome. I I can't remember if this is Augustus or Julius. Crud, I don't remember. There's one that's Augustus and there's one that's Julius. It's not. I don't think got a picture of the other one, but I do remember that one of them is Augustus and one's Julius. I think this is Julius. Oh, you can see the. I don't remember taking this picture, but you can see the Colosseum in the background. Uh, Something about this, it seemed interesting to me because it's like the ancient aqueduct system, ancient more or less sewage or plumbing, and you can see these paths, people walking amongst them, and this neat place here. But at this point, like I could see it, but I think I don't know how to get down to there. What are these people? How do they get to this point? I want to get down there. But I was also on my way to the Colosseum. Gave up on St. Peter's Basilica on the way to the Colosseum. Stopped by these and took some pictures. You can tell that these steps were reconstructed. Sometimes you could tell which ones parts are reconstructed and which parts aren't. Back to the Colosseum, and you can't really tell quite as much from this picture, but there's a good reason why I didn't go into the Colosseum. The crowd is just ridiculous. They told me it was an hour and a half long wait to get tickets, not to get in, to get tickets to get in. So I decided, no, I'm just not going to do that. I don't want to do that if I'm going to hate. I don't want to do something if I'm going to hate it. It's probably going to be insanely crowded once I get inside. So I took some pictures of the outside and said I'm just not going to do that. I also wanted. This is what I was thinking. I was thinking before. I'm trying to remember. I also didn't want to get into the Pokemon mindset. I don't want to have got to take a picture of everything because that wasn't the reason why I'm there. I'm not there to. When you're taking pictures on vacation, it can be kind of easy to forget that you're not there to collect as many pictures as possible. You're there to be in the moment. And that is something that I try to make an active effort to do. I said I still got a lot of pictures, but I still try to avoid the Pokemon mindset. Be more in the moment. Gotta catch 'em all, Pokemon. So at this point, I don't know what that is. At this point, I'm still not able to. Actually, at this point, maybe I am. Yeah, I think I'm still. I didn't know what this was called yet, but this was called the. Yeah, I remember thinking that that doors goes to a stairway that disappears. And actually, I think the reason why I took a picture of that door is because I thought that was clearly a modern door. Yeah, I don't know if you could tell from this photo, but it was clearly a modern door on a non-modern staircase. But I didn't know how to get in at this point. I just saw these ruins, thought it was neat. Oh yeah, I didn't mention. Maybe it was already. It could have noticed it, but you don't see it after a while. But there's graffiti everywhere in Rome. Not as much on ancient. Not any on the actual ancient artifacts or on the holy artifacts, but on like old doors, old walls that we would consider to be so old they're almost sacred in the United States, older than the town that I live in. You'd see graffiti everywhere. So I'm still not inside of it, but I'm taking neat pictures of it. Eventually, I wandered around, and you're going to see a lot of these pictures. I just kind of came across, not looking for it, um, I don't know what you like an entrance. I went down some stairs and off of a bridge and paid a ticket. there was no line, and suddenly we're not quite there with these pictures yet, and suddenly I'm walking among these ancient Roman ruins, and it was awesome, and I spent hours and hours in this place, at least 3 hours here. Um, I think these pictures are still before I even get to that point. And I didn't know it at the time, but it was called um, Colosseum Archaeological Park. And it's called that because it's right next to the Colosseum. I also didn't realize that there's more than one entrance to this park, and I had stumbled into the back entrance, and that's why there was no line. On the other side, where I ended up leaving, was the main entrance, and there was a massive line, and I would have never have gone in if I had seen that there. This looks like I'm in there. Yeah, I'm in the park at this point. No, I didn't get a very good picture of this. I didn't realize this wasn't anything special at the time, but they were collecting like whoever archaeologists, I guess, were collecting artifacts and put it in like a side room. It wasn't actually anything special. I couldn't get a very good picture of this, but there was some kind of a drainage system that I was in the inside of, and I couldn't get a very good picture of it. This is a picture of just like a basement almost. There's a lot of pictures at this point. This is probably going to be like a multi-hour video, honestly. I just annoyed my cat. At this point, I'm not able to walk into the ruins at this part of the park. But later on, we'll see where I will actually walk on the marble that Caesar would have walked on, and that was pretty cool. Like it was just open part of the park. Everybody was walking on it. More of that drainage. I actually think that was probably the same one, but just from a different angle. No, I don't think it's the same one actually. This place was also enormous. We haven't even scratched the surface of it yet. And I know I didn't see everything there was to see. By the end of it, I was like, I had had that tiny breakfast and it was like 4 p.m., so I was starving to death. And one weird thing about Italy, this was not just a Roman thing, but in Italy, is that this makes sense. It makes business sense. But the restaurants would close at like 2 or 3 and reopen at 7:30. Now 7:30 seems pretty late, but it does make sense that the restaurants would close between lunch and dinner because there's such a light crowd. So that does make good business sense. But I was starving and there was no place open, so I actually ended up having some more pizza that day, and that was like the only meal that I had apart from that small breakfast. That was after I left this archaeological park. This was a marble floor that I was actually. Was I? I don't know if this is one that I was actually walking on, or if maybe there's like a. I can't really tell. I don't think so. So you probably can't see it, but I'm probably taking this picture. Like there's probably a not gate, a fence right here that I'm taking a picture over. I think it's later that we get to the marble that I was actually walking on. So this was a kind of a central-esque part of the park. Sanctuary of Vesta. You see a bunch of people up here. Columns that have been standing for 2,000 years. This was another case of, I don't know if I'll get a better picture of this, but modern door. Not really modern. This looks more like maybe about 100 years ago, 1920s or something like that, on an ancient building. Although, even then, I assume this is an ancient building and not a reconstruction, but I don't know that for sure, to tell you the truth. Here's walking on remains of. This is not marble. I think this is walking on remains of floors that the Romans walked on. And for all the hype you got about Roman roads, man, they are not flat. They really take a lot of effort to walk on those. The points are going in different directions, and the points, is that what I said? The stones are pointing in different directions. Oh man, I gotta get to sleep. I'm still not feeling great after the flight home. Honestly, my right ear is feeling funky. I don't know exactly what this is, but I saw statues like surrounding it. I think there were some over here too. Yeah, here are the other statues. Only the pedestals remain. Oh, I wondered what this was. I'm gonna guess it's some kind of a heating thing, like you put a fire in there, but I don't know that for sure. Also, just could be like a structural thing. Maybe there's something that would come off of here and into here. This is a neat picture. Another place with a line. Didn't go into it. Didn't actually look that interesting anyway, honestly. When I came back, my older niece said, "Sorry, I didn't get to see the inside of the Coliseum." It's like, I'm not. Well, I mean, while as much as I would like to see it, it wouldn't be worth the crowd, honestly. So people just casually sitting on ancient Roman stairs, big arch. Love this picture. I hate that I kept getting my thumb in a lot of these pictures. I don't know what this means. I've seen this symbol a lot ever since I was a kid. My school used it, I think. Here's that, I don't know what you call it, the garden surrounded by statues from a different angle. Ooh, I love this one. This is not a place where you could walk, or at least not that I know of. Didn't mean to switch too fast. Another place under construction kind of degrades the experience to some extent. I don't even know if I'm criticizing someone else because, I mean, for all I know, yeah, that's all I know. It's nothing. That's all I know. So, yeah, I remember this. This stone waited 2,400 years just to trip me. It fulfilled its purpose that day. So I remember this area because I remember. So I don't know if I'm gonna see it. Maybe I already passed it. No, not yet. I don't know. Not sure if I took a picture of this or not. Actually, now that I think of it, but I remember walking through a building that didn't even have didn't even have a roof anymore because it was 2,000 years old, and but just some remains of some walls were still up. And I don't think I did take a picture of it, but if I did, I'll point it out. I remember thinking just kind of how surreal it was that this was somebody's home. Like I'm walking through this place today out of entertainment, but this was a human being, maybe a family of human beings' home that lived here. Like, what would it think? What would they feel? Would they be? I don't think they'd be offended. I mean, not that I know them, but maybe they're easily offended. Maybe they would be if offended and whenever get out of my home or whatever. But it's just it's just kind of weird. Like, what would they think? Would they be upset? I think it'd just be a very surreal experience to them to know that in 2,000 years someone's going to be wandering through your home as a form of entertainment. There are times whenever I feel like we tend to treat people in the past as if they're some subhuman. Just not sure if I know how to describe this exactly. You can see it's kind of raining. Um, like we dig up their secrets, things that they didn't necessarily want anybody to know. This was the floor I talked about. Like I'm walking on the floor that Caesar would have walked on. But like the right now, there's some kind of thing that's probably hogwash about Lincoln having a secret life, and it's speculation. And you know what? If he did, that's not our business. Maybe that's a weird way to think of it, but there's just a way in which I feel like we view people in the past as subhuman, and that just somehow seems weird to me. I can see my water bottle right here. It's like, what is that? It's my water bottle. Did a lot of refilling of it. Fragments of. I remember taking this picture specifically because I remember thinking that I was taking it in a weird order. Oh, why did I take this picture? Looks like something from a horror movie. How long have I been going? An hour and 20 minutes. I am so tired. Big part of me wants to just stop and come back later. I guess I could. I don't have a meter to say how far along I am. Just extremely tired. This is getting to the end of the park, I think. I could be wrong. It's the Coliseum again. I remember the inside of this I wish I'd taken a picture of it. It said something like, "The stone on which you strike your foot will outlast Shakespeare," something like that. But it was on the inside of it. It was written that way. That was obviously if it mentioned Shakespeare, it was not ancient, but you could tell from looking at it. Like you could see where it says Shakespeare, but I didn't take a picture of the whole thing. And now that's the line to get in from the main entrance, not the back way that I went into. So yeah, that's I think we're getting close to the end because I think most pictures I took were of that archaeological park. And another one that's under construction. I don't know what this building is, but it just looks neat. More than just neat pictures of the city. There's definitely a similarity to Providence here, in the sense of like old buildings. I don't know. It's just I guess just seeing buildings itself makes me think of Providence. I didn't know what this is. I took a picture of it. Maybe I wasn't supposed to. Another pizza that I had because, like I said, I was inside of that park for a very very long time, and when I got out, all the restaurants were closed. I don't want to wait till 7:30. 7:30 is actually kind of late for this time of year. Oh, then I went to Giolitti. Um, Very crowded gelato place, and it was very stressful because I didn't understand the ordering process, so I kind of panicked. I ended up getting. I didn't even know how to get these. That didn't even know how to do it. The process was like it's like you pre-order, and then you say I want to get some gelato, and then you pay for that, and then you go up to the bar to say what kind of gelato you get. I got banana. It was very good. Whenever I had it, I thought of what um, Robert Barone said. It's like I've never tasted a peach before, except he said it a little bit more slowly, more dramatic. This was good. I wouldn't say it's like I've never tasted a banana before, but it was good. Uh, the only reason I took a picture of this is because I sent it like I said I was there for a wedding and I sent this. I took a picture of this and sent it to the people that I was meeting up with and said I found what I'm going to wear to the wedding. Otherwise, I wouldn't take a picture of wedding dress. I was just happy walking by there. The bridge over the Tiber again. Elaborate statues. This would be my breakfast on Thursday morning. This would be probably the last picture I took before I went to Castel. Yep, that was the last picture I took in Rome. This is now in Castel Gandolfo. I don't know that might have been the name of the hotel. No, Hotel Castel Vecchio. I don't know. And this is a picture of the lake. This is not a good picture. It's a beautiful picture, but there are even more beautiful pictures that we will see. Statue of Mary, and here's another statue of Mary, and here is a kneeler, and this goes into the sum of the theological dispute between Catholics and Protestants. Um, Catholics give reverence or what they call dulia, or for Mary specifically, hyperdulia to saints. So it's dulia for saints, but hyperdulia for Mary, and they give latria to God or worship to God. So that's the distinction they make between reverence and worship. Of course, Protestants like myself don't really accept that distinction. Uh, Make up your own mind. I'm not. That's not what the purpose of this video is. But this is something that you kneel to pray to the statue of Mary. And this is a mountain across from the lake of our hotel. And I thought this was a neat picture of the smokiness of those mountains. And the picture didn't really do this justice, but this is you can see the city way off, way off in the distance. I'm not sure where that is. Oh, I do remember now. but it would take too long to describe. It's just a neat photo. So you can see more. You can kind of see the towns over here. Oh yeah, this was a the first restaurant in this city I ate in. Restaurant with a lot of character. I feel like I skipped some pictures though. I'm sure it'll come later. There's the bread. This thing, he told me the name in Italian and then he said, which means soft and soft. He said it looks like bruschetta, but it's not bruschetta. And I actually think I might try to recreate this or at least something very similar to it. It's bread, I assume ciabatta bread, with a little bit of red wine and then cheese. I don't know what kind. I'm going to guess mozzarella, but there's several kinds of Italian cheese, not just mozzarella. Um, and then prosciutto. I'm not complete. I think it's prosciutto on top. This was actually this simple appetizer, which I didn't actually order. He just brought it out to me, uh, and this simple appetizer was probably the best thing that I ate on the entire trip. It was amazing, and I'm gonna try to at some point recreate it. For I actually look up to get a ciabatta recipe, which I'm sure is probably not hard. And this was my first course, carbonara, very very good. That's bacon there, and this is pollo romano or Roman chicken. I was hoping it was going to be the same thing as chicken parm, but it wasn't even close. It was good, it just wasn't even close. Okay, this is the picture that I thought was missing. This is the small town southeast of Rome. I say small; it may not be considered a small town. From where I was, you were able to see walk from my hotel a little bit of a ways, but then you get into the city. These tables here are used by local restaurants, like that are right outside, and these are mostly walking paths. Although Italians will also drive in places that Americans would never dream of driving, like like there or there. This is where we ended up having a not the rehearsal dinner, the pre-dinner, the because there wasn't a rehearsal wedding, but like we all had a meal that night. Another picture of this of the lake. Of course, this is one of those things where pictures don't do it justice. Whenever I saw the ocean for the first time, I know this is very weird, but I saw it. I thought, yeah, that's the ocean. It's exactly what it looks like in movies. It just didn't like it didn't inspire is not the right word. It didn't surprise me in any way because like a lot of things, photos don't do them justice. You have to see them in person. But I feel like the ocean, the photos basically does it justice. It's exactly what you're expecting. Mountains, though, is not the same thing. Mountains cannot be done justice in photos. I remember walking down this path and got about halfway down it, and I realized I needed to come back, and I did not feel good at that then. This, I didn't know at the time I took this picture, is the Pope's summer home. It's my understanding that the current Pope does not use it, just because he doesn't want to. Another pizza shop looks like. Oh, and that's Miles and his wife. Those are Miles is the one I work with, and a friend at this point. Gelato shop. I didn't have any gelato here. Did I? I'm not sure which. No, not in this particular store. So I asked for. I asked for. No, I did. This is not different. This is not a different store than I thought it was. I did have some gelato here, but later on we'll get to that. So learned a lesson. When you're not in Rome, when you're in a less touristy area. By the way, I forgot to mention I didn't like Rome. I didn't like Rome because of how crowded it was. Did not apply to this part of the trip where I was in this town that was not Rome. I loved this part. This part was actually very, very good. I liked it a whole lot because this town wasn't so crowded. I was able to just kind of enjoy myself. I thought the food was a little bit better too. Um, so I asked for a cannoli, and I didn't realize that the what I think of as a cannoli is a specific kind of cannoli called a cannoli Sicilia, I think, as in like Sicilian cannoli. So when I asked for a cannoli, I got this. So that's like a toffee shell instead of like a flour based shell, and that was like pure Nutella, I think. And it was not what I was expecting. It was very, very, very good. And that's another espresso. That is the cannoli that I was trying to get. And I don't know why I took a second picture of that. Oh, probably don't want that. Those are reference photos. View from my balcony in the second hotel. I didn't take any pictures of the first hotel because it wasn't a great hotel. It wasn't terrible. It was clean. It just wasn't very interesting. Another pizzeria. Ricciotti. I have no idea if that's correct or not. Another view of the lake. Don't know what that is. Another view of the lake. Don't know what that is. Oh, yeah, I took a picture of this just because it was weird and interesting. Um, I think that's the rear view mirror of the car that I was in. I didn't rent a car, but Miles did. And I've rode with him sometimes. I'm not 100% sure that's what it is, but I think I want to say he slowed down so I could take a picture or something to that effect. I'm not completely sure, but let's see if there's a bit. Yeah, that's a little bit better of a picture. We're talking about like, what was that for? We don't really know. That's You can't tell from this picture, but it was way too small for a person to enter, so it was probably used for some kind of a drainage. We think you can tell a bit better from this picture. Sure. I think that was our hotel, and we were just a ways away from it. Not 100% sure of that. Of course, feel free to pause any if any particular video takes your notice. This was a town that I just on the other side of that lake that I thought was neat. When did I have this? Oh, this was the meal that we had at the not the wedding, not the rehearsal dinner, but the day before gathering, I guess. This was actually it wasn't bad, but it wasn't really anything special. I'm not really a pasta person though. I think I'd like it better if you use pesto instead of tomato sauce, but I'm just not really a pasta person. There's usually pasta left over whenever I eat it, and even when I make pasta from scratch, it's better from scratch. This is just a neat. I called it a sun shadow, and that's literally the opposite of a shadow. That the only reason that's even there is because there's shadow here, shadow here, shadow here, not shadow. So I shouldn't be calling it a sun shadow, but I do. As we got later, those lights came on. I thought that was kind of neat. Bad picture, but let's see if I get a. Too bad I didn't get a good picture of that. Um, it was late, And I remember thinking that this was. See if I can. I'm not gonna do it right now, but if I could change the contrast levels in GIMP or something, that'd make that picture look a lot better. So one of the restaurants, the first restaurant I went to, that's Miles again. The first restaurant that I went to in this, where I had that Pollo Romano, that was definitely not chicken parmesan. The place was actually on two sides of the street, and there was a cavern that went underneath from one to the other. And I don't know what era this is. I'm going to take a wild guess and say Renaissance because I don't really have a clue how to figure it out. Um, but so this, I say cavern, but it was like it's cavern's not the right word because it's organized. Uh, it was carved out at least partly, and it goes from one side of the street to the other, and they'll let you go down there and just kind of wander around there. There's Miles again. My gosh, I'm tired. Long staircase. World War One helmets. So this was I've already seen some, but people will eat in this area. Like I ate in that room upstairs, but people will eat in this area. I guess it's a part of the restaurant. I don't remember what it was called though. Oh, I do. Arte e vino, which means art and wine in Italian. I remember looking at this and thinking, this is the type of table where you stand up and say, "Ladies and gentlemen, the killer is in this room, sitting at this very table." Doc Brown's room. The dark chocolate gelato. I don't usually like chocolate ice cream, but this was very good. It actually tasted like chocolate. The reason why I don't like chocolate ice cream is because it doesn't taste like chocolate to me. This tasted like chocolate. I thought it was great. Another picture that didn't come out very well. Seeing and I might come back later and Photoshop it or something, but or GIMP, because it was you seeing those lights from across the across the lake. This caught my attention because my parents have one of these. I actually think they have two of them. But the it originally belonged to my grandmother, but the sewing machine on top broke, so it was just like a decorative piece. More of a case where you just can't really see. I don't know why I have that there. Oh yeah, like it's Celsius, so I have no idea what I'm doing. And it turned out I couldn't even. It didn't even work. It just made the room hotter for some reason. Another American breakfast outside at the hotel. I don't know why I took a picture of this one. This was actually kind of boring. This was the view eating breakfast. Thought that was kind of neat. It's big doors. Don't know where that goes. Oh, that is what I got for my niece, my older niece, on the way back. A bunch of iconography. The picture of that cat bag. In a different store, I was looking for something for my other niece and found these wolves and got her the gray one. Now, this, I guess I can't really see it from here, but this particular church, I passed by and all of a sudden heard Mendelssohn's Wedding March. I thought, what the heck's going on? So on Friday morning, there was a couple getting married in this church. So I got a glimpse of the inside of it. This is. Oh, this is breakfast. So I had a cappuccino and I had a Twix. And the reason why I had Twix is because I heard Twix tastes different in Italy, and I did not taste the difference at all. Did not mean to take a selfie. This was the place. This is the correct picture. This is the place that I went to. I don't know what I just said. I think I said the name of the place. That doesn't make any sense. This is the where the restaurants that were right on the sides here would serve, probably during COVID, I guess. Took a second picture of the Pope's second summer home for some reason. Souvenirs. That's where I got the bag and a couple of things for myself. Neat old door. Got very lost trying to figure out how to get into the to the Pope's summer house. Never did get in all the way. Got in partly, and we'll get back to that later. Another area of the town. Another area of the town. Starting to look a little bit more like Rome at this point, but it's not. When you're crossing the street in Italy, you take your life into your own hands. That's the truth. And I feel like not every stoplight has a walking thing notifier where you push the button. And then if you're hearing impaired, it says walk. I mean, sight impaired, it says walk, walk, walk. I don't remember what I was talking about that because I'm so tired. Just more neat pictures of that town. Oh, oh, I hope I have the energy to tell this story. So I was in this restaurant having lunch. This is already, I don't know when the switch over me, but this is Friday. Um, and sitting next to me was a British couple, and the wife turned to me and said, and I'm not even gonna try to do a British accent because it'll come off too weird. Said, "You've been to Italy before, haven't you?" And I said, "No, that's my first time." And she said, "Oh, you just seem so relaxed." So that's the bread. It came out in a bag for this one. What? Oh, I forgot about this. This was pretty good. So this was actually uh, pork rib pasta. So this is the primo. I didn't have any antipasto. Um, Antipasto, as I understand it, is like it's the appetizer, so it's before the pasta. Because you've got like the before pasta dish, then you've got the primo dish, which is usually made from pasta, and then you have the secondi. So there's antipasto, which I'm sure you've heard at some point, means appetizer because it's before the pasta. So anti in that sense means before. So like you have, but it's spelled ANTI, but it's the correct understanding is like it is against it or before it. So like an antechamber is before you you get into the house, you get into the antechamber. Uh, uh, so it's not like opposing pasta in the sense of like the antichrist is going to oppose Christ. It's more like the Antifa, where it's the what you get before you get anti-fascism is what you have before you have fascism, more or less. Osteria de Padre and Figaro. That was the name of the of that restaurant. And it was very good. And I had a nice conversation. This I liked because it was kind of hard to find a green non-starchy vegetable in restaurants in Italy. Um, but I don't remember what it was called. I wish I could make it again. But for a secondary, this is actually pretty small. It just had some meatballs. Oh yeah, I walked by an open room and saw someone making something. So I stopped to take an open window. So I saw someone taking over and decided to take a picture. non-potable water. So this is not one that you want to stick your uh, water bottle into. Another neat path. So this is the inside the walls or the courtyard, I guess, of this Pope's second home. To go much further than this, you need to buy a ticket, which we didn't want to do. Sanct- Sanctus Paulus, and over here is Sanctus Petrus. It's off the distance, but that's so neat. I don't know why I have another picture of Peter. Don't know what that means. Big hinge. This was a fantastic cannoli. Probably the best cannoli I've ever had. I think it's from that bar Camini or whatever. This was like we didn't know what it was called. It came out of a machine, so we kind of called it like a. I forgot. But that's all right. Knowing the right name anyway. There's a story I was going to tell, but I forgot what it was now. Oh well. I'm sorry, I just almost fell asleep there. So tired. Oh, okay. Um, we're at the wedding at this point, so that's actually it. That's all I wanted to show you. I really enjoyed this trip, the second half at least. Once I got to the second town, so if you ever have a chance to go to the Vatican Museum tour, don't. It's unless you have no problem whatsoever with crowds and waiting. I just absolutely hated that. Everything else in this trip was more mixed than anything. It wasn't really bad, but it wasn't great either. Then when I got to the smaller place, it was a lot better. All right, that should be it.